be installed. As you see here, just about less than a quarter of the distance around the Piers docking compartment from the hatch where they will exit. This probe is going to be put there to measure the electrical potential in the area. In most cases, a Soyuz spacecraft will be attached to the Piers docking compartment, and investigations into the recent ballistic entries of two of the three last Soyuzes to return to Earth determined that there's the possibility that the electromagnetic activity in that area may have been responsible for the poor functioning of a series of explosive bolts on the Soyuz spacecraft, which fire during the spacecraft's entry and allow the three modules of the Soyuz to separate. That the improper firing of those bolts may have delayed the proper separation of the modules, which in turn caused the ballistic entry for the crews of Expeditions 15 and 16. So with the installation of this probe, they will be able to gather more data for a study by the Russian specialists to determine whether or not that is in fact the cause of whether or not the additional electrical potential in the area may have been contributing to the difficulty with the proper Soyuz entries. Currently, the Soyuz spacecraft docked to the Zarya module, to the Earth-facing port, and there is a Progress spaceship now attached at the aft end of the Piers docking compartment. The crew members will exit from the Piers and will spend all of their time on Piers and on the Zvezda module, which is the aftmost component of the Russian segment of the space station. After installing that Langmuir probe, Longchikov and Fink will move on to the Zvezda module to install a couple of different science experiments. One of them is known as Expose-R, which is a European Space Agency experiment package, which will expose samples of plant seeds and spores of bacteria, fungi, and ferns to a tray. We'll see here that will be on the port side on the large diameter section of the Zvezda module. Those samples will be exposed to the vacuum and the ultraviolet radiation and the extreme temperature variations that are present in that atmosphere for 18 months and then be returned to Earth for analysis. Along with the installation of experiments, the crew members will also go back to the Piers to retrieve an experiment sample canister from the experiment known as BioRisk. BioRisk experiment has been mounted on the exterior of the station for some time. The first set of BioRisk canisters had already been brought back to Earth. Longchikov and Fink will be retrieving the second set of BioRisk canisters from the Piers docking compartment, bringing those back in for later return to the ground. And at that point, if there is time remaining, if they have been moving ahead of their schedule, they'll also move back onto the Zvezda module for a couple of get-ahead tasks, one of which is to close an insulation flap on Zvezda. That insulation was left open during a previous spacewalk. You can see there it's located just on the starboard side of Zvezda, just above the Piers docking compartment. And if time remains, they would translate back to the starboard side, where there is another exposure experiment known by the Russian initials SKK, similar to a BioRisk or to an Expose-R experiment. They would move back to the SKK in order to reorient the hardware package and its location on the Zvezda module.